Hi, I'm talking about retinoid and retinol and my journey today. Please stay tuned to the end for a very important tip on how to apply it properly. And welcome to Happy Stuff and Fluff, a channel for women over 50 who are getting happy and growing younger. Okay, so before I start to talk about my experience with retinoid, I'd just like to say remember that happiness from within brings the beauty out in your skin. Might sound like a cliche, but it's true. When we get to a certain age, however, we might just need a little bit of help, at least I do. And so my journey begins. Now I know many of you will have had this conversation already. And if you know, as you probably do, know a lot more than I do, then please leave your comments below and your advice, just like you did with the vitamin C. If you haven't seen the vitamin C, that's the first one in the skincare series, so I'll leave a link to that. But I just must give a shout out to those of you who left that great tip about vitamin C. So if you use the timeless vitamin C, which is the one I use, then the tip was to, when you get it, decant half the bottle into another bottle and put that in the fridge, because vitamin C tends to oxidise and it can go off very quickly. And if you've got half stored away in the fridge, kept safe, it means you can prolong the product. And keep it for longer, obviously, and be able to use it for longer. So that was a great tip. Thank you very much for that. Okay then, retinoid and retinol. I think despite the fact that there's so much information out there on the internet, I still found it confusing. And so let me just tell those of you who don't know what it is a little bit about it first. So it's considered to be the gold standard in terms of skincare and helping with skin aging. It's retinoid, which is a vitamin A derivative. Now this is a chemical compound, that's important to remember, and the active ingredient in it is retinoic acid. Retin A, which you may have heard it called, is just the brand name for Tretinoin. So those are three terms: retinoid, retin A, Tretinoin, all the same thing really. So retinoid is the derivative, retin A is the brand name for Tretinoin. Now some of you may also know that it was first of all used in the 1960s when it was used to treat acne. And the dermatologists who were using it for that also noticed that whilst it was clearing up the acne of their patients, it was also helping with fine lines and wrinkles, skin texture and skin discoloration. And so that kicked off a whole load of research into the efficacy of it in terms of treating skin aging. And so there's been lots of research on it and it's proven. So it's the gold standard. What it does is it encourages the skin, or facilitates the skin, to turn skin cells over faster. So it boosts cell renewal, which as we get older, as everything else, tends to slow down. That action tends to slow down with age. So as I say, this is great news for us women of a certain age. Unfortunately, we can't get it. At least you're only supposed to be able to get it on prescription. That is in the UK and the US. I'm not sure about anywhere else, guys, so you need to check in your own countries about this situation. So you have to go to your GP or your dermatologist and get it on prescription. Now, I don't know about this, but I have a suspicion in the United Kingdom that even if you went to your dermatologist, whether they actually prescribe it for skin aging as opposed to acne, I don't know. Perhaps some of you can tell us that. Now, there is another product on the market called Differin, which is also a treatment for acne, and it includes a retinoid which is called adapalene. It's very successful with acne and has also been shown to help with aging skin. However, there hasn't been as much research done into adapalene in Differin as there has in the retinoids in Tretinoin. So Unfortunately, once again, you can only get that on prescription, mostly. So, I thought to myself, okay, well, what's a girl to do? We're told it's the gold standard, but we can't get it. So I thought, well, let's have a look at an alternative. Now, an alternative is retinol, which is a completely different product. Okay, so retinol, it is vitamin A, but it naturally occurs in the skin. And it's commonly used in all kinds of cosmetic creams, I think from a concentration of about 0.05% up to 1%, which is unusual to find. Now, the thing with retinol is when it's applied to the skin, it needs enzymes in the skin to work on it in order to convert it to retinoic acid, which is also the active ingredient in the Tretinoin, sorry. Okay, so that means that it's a lot less potent. It takes a lot longer to have any effect on the skin. Nevertheless, despite the fact that it's weaker and takes longer to have an effect, it does eventually have an effect, depending obviously on the concentration that you're using. And so I thought, right, okay, well, if I can't get the retinoid, I'll search out a retinol. Now, I wanted the highest concentration I could get, and I found this, which it's the only one I could find actually, and it's 1% pure retinol. And I'm sure, again, there's probably others on the market. Let me know if you found one. So this is pure retinol 1%, and it's by The Ordinary. So I've been using that. Now, I've been using this for about 9 months, I would say. The thing is, I know I've just said that retinol is weaker than retinoid, but this at 1% is incredibly potent. Now, I just want to, I'll tell you a small story that demonstrates what happens when you use these products. Okay, so Mr. Kitchen and I are out for dinner, or we went away on one of our goal-setting weekends, if you like, and we stayed in this fabulous medieval building, hall, the hotel, and dinner was held in the actual banqueting hall, which is an original medieval building with fantastic thick stone walls and torches coming out of the walls with fire coming out of them, and the whole room was lit. It was candlelit. The tables were candlelit, so it was incredibly romantic. So we had a lovely meal and a glass of wine in this fantastically romantic atmosphere, and Mr. Kitchen reached forward, took both of my hands, looked into my eyes and said, "There's something I've been meaning to say to you all night." And I thought, oh, he's going to tell me how lovely he thinks I look. And he said, "I think you need to go to the bathroom because half your face is falling off." Oh, moment over. So off I go to the bathroom. Indeed it was. My skin was peeling on my forehead. It was peeling under my chin. I looked like a goat. Oh, so I was quickly trying to make my skin look presentable, and finally came out of the bathroom, thankfully into a dark medieval hall that was lit with candles, so nobody could see the state my skin was in. So I thought, oh gosh, such a drastic effect on my skin. I'm going to stop using this. But on further research, of course, and thinking about it, that's exactly what it's supposed to do. It's getting rid of all the dead skin cells to make way for the new. So your skin is going to peel when you use these products. Now, obviously, some more than others. And the good side to that is that your skin does acclimatise to it. And now my skin doesn't peel. But I've only recently started to use this more often on a daily basis. And even now, I mean, I'm not sure if you can see that, but my forehead this morning was quite red and sensitive, just a little bit. So what I will do is I won't use this tonight. I'll lay off this tonight and start again tomorrow. But my skin has acclimatised to it. But when I first started to use it, I put it on my face and my neck. My neck was so irritated. So I think lots of people have said their neck gets more irritated than the face does. Well, mine certainly did, especially around the collarbone area, where it was kind of sensitive to touch. Anything I put on to try and ease it would sting. So you have to be very careful. I stopped using it altogether on my neck. So I thought, now that my skin's acclimatising to the retinol, it's time I put some effort in to move on up and try to find a retinoid. And I did. So I found a website to get Tretinoin. It's a website in the US, but those of you in the UK, obviously I got this online and so it's available to you too. And this is the smallest, the lowest rather concentration, which is 0.05%, which is where I thought I ought to start. I got this, I put it on my neck and on my face, and no irritation on my neck, no redness, but also no flaking, which led me to think maybe this is not strong enough. Maybe now that my skin has acclimatised a little bit, I should be using a stronger concentration. And so that's that. But I also found another website where I could also get hold of the Differin cream. Now this is the cream and not the gel, because I believe the cream is more effective. It's at 1%, and I got this online from an online pharmacy in the UK. Now I believe that although this also was only available on prescription in the US, since January I think you've been able to get it over the counter there. But get the cream and not the gel, because I think the cream's the most effective. However, you'll see this box has not been opened, and that's because of the lack of research done on Differin in terms of skin ageing. I was a little bit loathed to use it. Can I just put an adjunct in here? If any of you are interested in looking at the research on Differin and on Tretinoin, I suggest you have a look at Mrs. Ginger's channel, YouTube channel. She is amazing because she does, she kind of does like a meta-analysis of all the research that's out there and then summarises that for you and gives you her impressions of all of that research. So obviously that helps us a whole load because it means we don't have to go doing the research. So if you are interested in that, nip on over to Mrs. Ginger. I'll leave the link below and see what she has to say about it, because she's quite methodical and meticulous in the way she goes about researching. Okay, so I now have then Differin cream at 1%, which I'm not going to use, but I'm going to put on hold for a second, because this, ladies, something you must be aware of. So as I say, I got this online from a company in the US, and unfortunately for some reason this company do not take debit or credit cards in payment. So I paid through internet banking, which is obviously the easiest way of doing it. However, my bank charged me £9 for that transaction, which is probably about, is that about $15, $14, something like that. And so, right, okay, but even so, factoring that £9 in, this was still cheaper from that company than any I've seen, unless you can tell me different, than any I've seen anywhere else. So, right, I thought that was okay. However, now I'm going to, I thought to myself, I'm going to up it a little bit and go to the 1%. Given that £9 transaction, I've ordered 2 tubes of the 1%. Because obviously I don't want to be paying £9 extra for every time I need a new tube. So I ordered 2. However, I've had a thought that now it's a heavier package or more expensive or whatever causes these things to happen, I might get stuck with a duty charge, or the post office might charge me something for delivering it. I've had that before, when they knock on the door and say, here's your parcel, you can't have it unless you give me £13 or however much. If that happens and it gets too expensive, excuse me, then I'll consider looking at this. So my plan moving forward is I'm going to stop using this when I've finished this tube. You know, I love The Ordinary. I know they come in for criticism, and I know their products can be a little bit confusing about what to use and when to use and so on. But I love using them, and they're incredibly well priced, of course. Perhaps I'll do a video on that at some point. But I'm going to stop using that. I'm going to use this, which is the 0.05% Tretinoin on my neck. Continue to do that. And then when the 1% cream comes, I'm going to start using that. Now, believe me, ladies, I will be taking this very slowly, but I will tell you how I get on with it. So, an important tip then about the application of it. So, this, for example, let's use the Ordinary, because the consistency of this, it's like a creamy gel, and you only need a pea-sized amount, okay? So you might think, well, that's not going to spread over my face. So a little pea-sized amount in the middle of your hand like that, and put it in your hands to warm, and then of course it spreads over your hands, and then this is what you do. So you've got the product in your hand, and then you pat, 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 pat. Again, as the vitamin C, don't go near your eyes. A little bit of it will get there anyway, but if you put it directly up here where the skin is very thin, you will hurt. So don't do that. But so pat it round. But look what you tend to do automatically. Product in your hand, every time you go to the same place first, which means that most of the product that's in your hands is going to the same place every time. Now, if you do this, you're applying most of the product here, which is probably where you're least likely to need it. Obviously, we'd want it up here where your wrinkles are, around your eyes, perhaps down here, but not very often here. So a lot of the product is going here each time, and this applies with everything else that you're putting on too, which can irritate this area. If you get broken capillaries here, guys, it can be very difficult, if not impossible, to remedy. So be careful how you apply it. Try when it's on your hands to pat it in a different place first each time to stop all the product, most of the product coming to one place every time. Okay, that's an incredibly important tip, because I know people who have said, I'm started to get irritated here, so I've stopped using it. Well, if you use it differently each time, that shouldn't happen. Okay, so that's it, and that's my journey. That's where I am with Retinoid and Retinol. So I'm hoping to have moved up now and be able to use the Retinoid. I'll let you know how that goes on. But please remember, as I said when I started, I'm going to say it again because I think it sounds great. It's perfectly true. It's something you can remember. Happiness from within brings the beauty out in your skin. And these and makeup, just a little bit of icing on the cake. Okay, well, it's been great to talk to you. As I say, any advice, anything you can add to the conversation, please put it in the comments below. And remember that on the Happy Stuff and Fluff channel, we are getting happy and growing younger. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.